So, hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of 15 Good Minutes. It is an honor and a privilege to have Mr. Wonderfully Excellent decide to grace us with his presence in the month of March. How are you, sir? Welcome back.
Thank you, guys.
World traveler.
World traveler.
I'm trying to say, Rusty didn't qualify that I was literally doing business travel, so that's why I have missed shows. But the show will go on.
But the show missed you too. Well, a little bit. Hey, LB, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man?
Doing good, sir.
Hey, listen, I got a text from Freddie. He is tied up in a work call. He may or may not join. I don't have a lot for you today. I just want to kind of pick up where we left off last week. So once again, the topic is the men's NCAA in basketball. Our focus last week, Charles, we were talking about, okay, of all those teams, how many we thought was going to get, to the Sweet 16. Now we're at the Sweet 16, and what I want to do this week is I want to limit the conversation to say, of these teams, who do the three of us think will advance to the Final Four? And then, once we know who's there next week, we can close out with a champion. So I'm going to start with LB. They have these four regions, LB, for this. East, West, South, and Midwest. So I'm going to take them one region at a time from you to Charles and back. So I'm going to start with you, LB. When you're looking at the East region, talk to me about what you see for those teams and who you have coming out of that.
Okay, so my sheet of integrity, I guess it's called now. I got I did have Duke and Arizona, making it to this point. And that's when from that point I pooped my pants, as they say. I had BYU and St. Mary's in that bracket, in the East bracket, but obviously it's BYU. I'm sorry, I had VCU. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I had VCU and St. Mary's. So you got Alabama and BYU. You got, at least in this one, I got to go with Alabama. I think they should win against BYU. They've had a good season. They really have. The whole SEC, the top half of the SEC is good. So I'm going to give them the nod on that one. And I'm rooting for Duke against Arizona, only because I actually have Duke making it all the way to the Final Four. So I need Duke to win.
Charles, if you've had a chance to look at this, when you look at that same region, when you look at the East, take a look at Alabama, BYU, and Duke, Arizona. What do you see there?
Can BYU run with Alabama? And I'm going to say, yeah, I think they can. I think they can run with Alabama. You see, I'm looking at the scores right now, right? They've scored 80 and 90 points, right? In their two games. And Alabama is scored 80. So it's not like BYU can't fill up the hoop. It's going to just come down to defense and with them, which one is going to play the better defense and not get in foul trouble, right? And so, but they both use the bench, right? And they both offensively, I think it's going to be an entertaining game. So, but I'm going to go with probably Alabama.
Okay. You had me. I thought he flipped me around. I thought he had BYU, LB.
No, I'm going to go with Alabama, right? And I'm just going to go with Arizona because I don't like Duke.
Yeah, looking at those two games, Charles, I'll go backwards. I don't like Duke, but I talked about a little bit last week. I'm trying to give them their prompts, but the reason that I'm picking against them this week, me hating them notwithstanding, is because I think they've been beating everybody down. I think they've been lights out better than their competition until now. Okay, so Arizona, one, they've already beat Duke in the past. Two, they're led by a former player from Carolina who went into the portal a couple years ago and really blossomed, into a really good player. Will I be surprised if Duke wins? No, but I think Arizona can pull that one off, and I'm going to go with them. The other game, and I said this even before the NCAA started, Charles, I gave a list of teams that I said nobody wants to face. The last two of those were St. John's and BYU. St. John's played one
They
hell of
did.
a tight game last week against
Mhm.
Arkansas. That thing was a one of them's ones where you didn't know who's going to win, and it turned out
Yeah.
to be a last possession.
Right.
BYU, my opinion, has been playing with house money. Couple of things: they shoot the three ball and they don't care. Another thing: think about that school.
Mhm.
We're talking about Mormons that are probably on average 25, 27 years old. These are
Right.
grown ass men that have
Yep.
left
Yep.
and gone on sabbatical and come back and they're playing. They're not the most talented basketball team, but they work like a well oiled machine because
Mhm.
they're not tripping. That none of them going to be in the league. They just play well together. And if I'm Alabama, I don't like this draw. To LB's point, Alabama should win.
Should.
They've got the depth, they've got the talent, they're playing injury free. But this BYU team is the last one standing. And if them threes are falling for them, to your point, Charles, I know you said defense matters. I don't think Bama can keep up with the threes. So I'm gonna take BYU in that one.
It's a,
Um,
it,
So you
it's a
don't.
toss up. It's the odds makers got it as a toss up, right?
oh, I
So
didn't know that. Yeah.
yeah, it's a toss up. So literally, you know, BYU could win this thing, but I'm just thinking the athleticism of Alabama is going to win out. That's why I'm going with Alabama.
So the defense. So you. What about the defense of Alabama? Do you think you don't think the defense of Alabama is strong enough to give them BYU
I,
enough
I think I
problems?
think they're good, LB. The challenge I have is I've never seen Alabama extend the defense. The threes that these guys are shooting, they ain't on the line. They're
They're not.
behind the NBA range. I mean, they're launching missiles.
Okay.
And I don't know if Alabama is comfortable
Coming
going
that
that
far
far
out.
out and leaving their
Okay.
rear end exposed.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what they will have to do. And my guess is that that's what they're going to be working on this week. If
Mm-hmm.
they can get in there to your point and jam them,
Mm-hmm.
100%. But it's like they cross half court and they just pull up.
Okay.
I mean, just pull up. Now, also, I think what Alabama's going to do is say, "I dare you."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you that for maybe the first 5 to 8 minutes, and if it
Right.
ain't falling, I'm gonna do what I do. I'm gonna
Right.
force you to come in here. But
Uh-huh.
you'll see them take a timeout and extend that defense if BYU hits their first three or four threes.
Okay.
Um,
Gotcha.
so yeah, I can see why that would be a toss up. Sticking with you, LB, I'm gonna move over to the other side with one of the most anticipated matches I'm looking for on Thursday: Florida and Maryland. Your Terrapins. Are you going with your heart on this one, or you going with chalk and going with the number one seed?
I'm going. Well, my sheet of integrity is it went with my heart. Um,
Nothing wrong with that.
right. So yeah, I have the Terps upsetting them. Honestly, I think I saw Florida play once, maybe this season. I didn't see any. I haven't seen any of these tournament games. To be honest with you, I just haven't seen a bunch of them. I didn't even see the Terps win the other night. I couldn't. I didn't have the. I can't. When it's the team that I'm rooting for,
Oh, I know that feeling.
it's hard for me to watch it and not have my blood pressure go.
Sometimes I just be on here checking the score, put it down.
Yes, exactly. I was watching some TV show or whatever,
Yeah, I've done that.
and yeah, because I can't do it. I just can't do it. I don't do. I'm retired. I don't need that kind of stress in my life. Um, so I didn't even watch. I watched the highlights. So yeah, I'm rooting for Maryland to upset them. And from what I've heard about Florida, again, I haven't seen much of them. They have a guard there that's supposed to be NBA ready. Um,
Clayton Jr.
like, okay, that's yeah. So obviously the Terps got their work cut out for them. But I do think Maryland might have the advantage on the front line with some of these kids they got. So they get the advantage there. Florida gets the advantage in the backcourt. So we'll have to, as I said, we'll see how this all plays out. But I'm rooting for Maryland to upset them. Because actually, I had picked UConn to upset Florida in the previous round.
That was a tight game too. I think it was only a
Right.
2 point
Two
victory for
point
them.
game. Yep,
Yeah.
77-75. So yeah, yeah. And the other part of that bracket is okay. So I did have Texas Tech winning, but I had St. John's over Arkansas. I
Mm-hmm.
did see some of that game too, and it was talk about a toss up. It was nothing more than that. I was rooting for St. John just because they're a Big East team. Um, Arkansas is out there in the sticks. So.
Charles, you look at that side, you got a 1 seed against a 4, and to LB's point, they're both top 4 teams. That can go either way in Florida and Maryland. Then we have Texas Tech against Arkansas. Look at those 2 games. Who you got?
Well, Colorado State should have won that game. So
I don't know if they knew how to win, but yes,
right.
They should have won that game.
They had it.
They had it. It was in their hands. Yep. And props to Maryland. Props to Maryland, right? I just think Florida is too good. Texas Tech and Arkansas. That it's just Calipari really got them playing really, really well.
That's a tough one for me, but I think Calipari's, I won't say luck. I think his runs out here. Super overachieved, because I'm telling you right now, I didn't even have them getting in there. They played well at the right time, and we've talked about that before. That's all you got to do, and you can be struggling at the halfway point, man. You start getting your act together in February and leading into March. I think that's a proof positive of what's happening in Arkansas. And I'm going to say the same thing when we get to the next side with Kentucky, because another first year at that school, I should say, and the accomplishment that they've had. But Texas Tech, to me, has been rock solid. I think it's theirs to lose. I'm going to go with them. The Florida-Maryland game, for me, I actually thought Florida should have been the overall number 1 seed over Auburn. What Florida has, in my opinion, is depth, and then depth on top of depth. And that kid that you were talking about, LB, Clayton Jr., has the unique ability to get his shot from nowhere. What I mean by that is he's not a catch and shoot guy. He don't have to come off a screen. He's literally just dribbling, and then he just elevates. And at the most opportune time, because Florida was struggling too. I watched that Maryland game, and to Charles's point, and I'm never going to say nobody shouldn't have win. A win is a win is a win. You move on.
Right.
The 2 areas that I thought Maryland had challenges with, one, and LB had told me about this. He told me to watch this last week. Their inability to finish.
Yeah.
When they get up, they kind of give it away. They did that. And number 2, I didn't see any depth. I like Queen, and he had to literally tell the coach, just give it to me when they were down. But if you look at the shot that they gave up to lose the lead,
right,
that's the most frustrating part about the Terrapins to me. Yeah. Can they win? 100%. But I'm going to go with Florida on that one. Move to the bottom half of these the last 8 teams. LB, Ole Miss playing well against Michigan State, and Auburn against Michigan. When you look at those 2 games, both on Friday, what are you seeing?
I'm going to give the nod to the Big Ten and go with Michigan State, whose name I am blanking on at the moment. The coach,
Tom Izzo.
Tom Izzo, thank you. I think I said this last week. If Tom Izzo's in the tournament and it's close matched up 2 teams, I'm going with Izzo. So in this case, I'm going with Izzo. And as far as Michigan and Auburn, I didn't have either one of them getting there.
That's true. You were adamant about Auburn.
Yes. Yeah. So they're there. So between them and Michigan, there I'm going to go with Auburn. I think Auburn, I did get to see them maybe once or twice this season, and as well as Michigan. I think Auburn they're just a better team, I think, than Michigan. I think Michigan's luck runs out in this round.
Fair enough. You're looking at those same 2 games, Charles. What do you see? Auburn, Michigan, and then Michigan State, Ole Miss.
But it's a hard one for me. Obviously, it's not obvious, but I don't follow college basketball like you guys do. And I've only seen Auburn in the tournament, and they've played nobody. So it's kind of hard for me to judge, right, against Michigan. Michigan has a pretty good team, right? And so for me, this is because I hadn't seen Auburn the whole year. The only reason I'm going to give Auburn the nod here is that conference, the SEC conference, has been pretty rock solid, right, in this whole tournament. And so I'm going to give them the nod. And I'm down with LB, Michigan State, right? Nothing else to be said. It's all about the coaching.
obviously I'm not wearing any UNC gear today because my beloved Tar Heels have been bounced. But Nike was kind enough to provide me with several shooting shirts. So this week I'm going with Michigan State shirt. We could have something different when we get to the Final Four, but don't worry about it. I'm not going to take anything out of the cellophane until I see how far these boys go. So starting with that, yeah, I'm a big fan of Michigan State. I think they should win that game against Ole Miss. I'm going to go with Auburn. Last week, LB talked about a little bit about Johnny Broome, and I think they go as he goes, and it's going to be a classic. Well, I won't say classic. It's going to be a big SEC Big Ten battle, but I think Broome is ascending right now at this point. I think he's going to put that team on his back. So I got them taking out Michigan. Last two games, LB. We've got Kentucky against Tennessee, a 2-3 matchup. This is also on Friday. And then lastly, Purdue, who was in the actual championship game last year and just got obliterated by UConn,
Right.
going up against Houston.
Houston.
You look at those last two games, who you got coming out?
So I got Tennessee coming out against Houston. I'm sorry, against Kentucky. It's like the NFL. They say you don't want to play a team the third time that have beat you twice because the law
Very
of
hard to beat
averages
somebody three times in a year.
in a row, right?
Yeah.
But I'm rooting for Tennessee. I don't like Kentucky. I just don't like Kentucky.
Somebody who spends as much time in Kentucky as you do, that's just an odd statement.
Well, that's probably why.
Because you know Kentucky.
I know Kentucky, right? And Purdue and Houston. I'm rooting on Houston. That's Calvin Sampson. Is that the coach there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm rooting for him, so I'm rooting for Houston. End of story.
Last two games, Charles. Who you got in those two games?
I'll go with Houston and Purdue first because the second one, when I talk about it, it broke my heart. But Houston, I'm going to go with them, even though Gonzaga kind of exposed them that they're very weak against the press, right? And that's how Gonzaga got back in the game, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna Big Ten is not Purdue is not a pressing team, right? And so I'm gonna give it to Houston. I'm gonna say they're gonna win this. Kentucky and Tennessee. I was heartbroken because they beat Illinois.
I didn't know you wasn't allowed out.
Well, I'm from Chicago. I'm just going to Coast Guard from Chicago, right? So yeah, I was rooting for Illinois, right, to pull that off, and they just couldn't sustain any type of run to get back in that game with Kentucky. For me, this is a kind of toss up, right? But I'm going to go with Kentucky.
You talked about Izzo in terms of coaching, and what Rick Barnes has done over the years is quite similar. I like Pope. I think his name is Mark Pope, the coach at Kentucky, because what he did at BYU was amazing, and no one, especially me, thought he could get Kentucky to the place where Calipari did not have them a year ago, especially after Calipari took all those kids with him. Yeah. So hats off to Pope. And to your point, Charles, for me, this is a straight toss-up. It's a 2-3 game, buddy. It could go either way. Right. So I'll follow the chalk and say maybe in this case that Rick Barnes, his seniority as a coach with Tennessee is going to edge out Pope. But if it went the other way, I wouldn't be surprised. So I'll have to go with Tennessee on that one. And then to your point, LB, I picked Houston to win it all at the very start. I believe that Sampson gets close every year, and then every year he's got some big injury to deal with, and that's not the case this year. Mm-hmm. And even though they had some challenges in all their games thus far, to your point, Charles, same thing with Gonzaga, these cats have found a way to win. Yeah. Different people are standing up, and I've always said, to me, Houston is the team that has grown-ass men. I'm talking about, they just come out swinging, and I think they are an extension of their coach. I would be disappointed if Houston doesn't win this game. And I'm not taking anything away from Purdue. The fact that Purdue is back in the Sweet 16 after losing, the kids that they lost in their championship run last year. Again, that also speaks to coaching because Matt Painter has been around for quite a long time. So you're starting to see in some cases where the seniority in coaching might be the difference maker. So I'll go there with Houston. For me, the most exciting time of the year when all these games are going on. LB and I are actually going to be in San Antonio for the Final Four. We'll talk a little bit about that next week. Before we check out, let me see if the guys have something to say. Charles, you haven't been here in a while. You probably got quite a bit. You got anything?
I really don't have nothing to say, man. I just been doing wonderfully excellent. That's it.
Good. Glad to see you. LB, you got something to say today?
I'll make it brief. I was talking to my grandson the other day when I had some car issues, and I was talking to my grandson, and he didn't realize, and I guess neither did I to some extent, how dependent we are, our new vehicles are on software. I had an issue with a car last week, that it seemed like a catastrophic failure in the system, and it was all traced back to software. It used to be a time when you get your voltmeter and you pop the hood, and you check the battery. You could
change that distributor cap.
Yes, you change your points and stuff. You go down to, with the time Pep Boys, you pay $5, get a new tune-up kit, put that in there, and you're good to go. Now, if you don't have a computer with some special coding and connectors and stuff, you can't do nothing with these cars. We are totally dependent on mechanics and or the dealership to repair these cars. So all that to say is, if you don't have an extended warranty on your car, you better get one, because you can't fix it yourself.
Yeah, I think it's a blessing and a curse. To your point, the other thing, LB, is some traditional tools that I have don't work under the hood anymore either. Mm-hmm. It's like they have their own. It's not metric and it's not conventional. There's something in between that they have.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a problem.
That's right.
The good old days are gone.
Yep. Gone.
Yes.
But you know what? That's the price we pay to drive in the lap of luxury. To drive the machines that go 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds. So, yeah, that's a great first world problem to have. Again, appreciate all you guys from joining. I'm sure we'll have Freddie back next week. Enjoy the round of Sweet 16. If your team is still in it or your bracket has not been busted, good for you, because it's negative on both those fronts for me. So I'm just here for the fans.
My Final Four is still alive. I still got all my Final Four teams.
Somebody got it right. Thank you.
We'll see next week.
We're out.
All right, guys.
Later.